apparently when he was apologizing to the players, he only addressed them in individual groups, position groups. Like he went into the linebackers room and was like, hey, I screwed up, I'm sorry. Then he went into the quarterback's room, hey, I'm sorry. Instead of bringing the team together, because I don't think he wanted to take them on all together because, you have that mentality of this guy's a boob, we're not listening to you, and then that spreads, and then you've lost the room.
Listen, I think there's a point where just about, I shouldn't say every, but a lot of sports franchises go through this process of they're trying to rebuild, they're trying to come out of the gutter, and they just make the wrong decision and make it worse.
Yesterday, when the team broke huddle after practice, they broke it down with one word.
What?
Grind on three.
Stop it.
1, 2, 3, grind. I'm not making that up. There's video. It's on all the social media.
All right, the latest on the Zodiac... Wait. This is not 1974, but the latest on the Zodiac Killer when we come back to Gary and Shannon.
Handle.
Morning.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the Anchor Radio app.
Ships at Anchor. I'm Brian Bruman, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A massive German cargo ship is being looked at as a possible cause of the oil pipeline rupture off the coast from Huntington Beach. The Associated Press reports data from a navigation service that tracks radio signals from ships shows the cargo vessel made a series of unusual movements while it was anchored close to the pipeline. The Coast Guard is now investigating whether that ship's anchor might have snagged and bent the pipeline. News brought to you by Ruger Hero. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says an agreement has been reached to extend the government's borrowing authority into December. The deadline to avert a debt default was in 11 days. The Dodgers have won the National League wildcard game against the St. Louis Cardinals. Chris Taylor hit a walk-off two-run shot in the bottom of the ninth to win last night's game 3-1. The Dodgers now move on to a 5-game division series against the San Francisco Giants. That series starts tomorrow night. Sound gunfire. An LAPD officer has shot a woman in downtown Los Angeles. Police say they answered a call last night about someone with a gun near a homeless camp and an on-ramp to the 101. When officers arrived, they called in a SWAT team and a police helicopter while they searched tents in the camp. There was a shooting and a female got shot. She was taken to the hospital. The teenager accused of shooting at a teacher and student at his high school in the Dallas area is out on bond. 2 other people got hurt in yesterday's shooting. The 18-year-old's family has apologized for what happened, but they say bullying was a factor. Pfizer has asked the FDA to authorize its COVID-19 vaccine for kids under 12 years old. Pfizer says if regulators give it the go-ahead, shots could begin within a matter of weeks for kids 5 to 11. The company has said its lower-dose vaccine works and appears to be safe in its study of children. A powerful earthquake has shaken Tokyo. The 6.1 magnitude quake struck this morning in a prefecture just to the east of Tokyo. Officials say it made buildings sway, but there have been no reports of damage or injuries. Federal forecasters are offering some hope. California will get some substantial rain this month. October is usually not a rainy month in LA. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts the odds of a much wetter than average month are as good or better than the odds of a much drier than average month. The last major rainfall in SoCal was 7 months ago. A young man from SoCal who saw a wildfire in NorCal was inspired to try and prevent that devastation from happening again.
Ryan Honoré from Newport Beach is 13 years old and saw pictures of the campfire in 2018 on TV.
The hills that were being burnt looked just like the hills that were behind my house.
Ryan's a coder and a dreamer and had an idea to come up with a new AI wildfire prevention program that starts with detectors that send initial reports of the fires.
Until eventually it reaches my mini meteorological station. The information will be sent to my app.
Firefighters and people with the app are then alerted the fire is near. Honoré has already received $1.7 million in funding from the Office of the Navy to continue the project. Jennifer Jones-Lee, KFI News.
It's slow going on the 405 in Westchester.
Northbound side, seeing delays coming away from just beyond La Sierra on over to about Santa Monica Boulevard. Meanwhile, it's going to be a busy ride coming out of Mid-City, eastbound side of the 10 from just before La Cienega over to the 110 freeway. 110 north, that's going to be patchy coming out of South LA from Manchester over to the 101, while the southbound 101 slows down leading Sherman Oaks from Woodland to the 134, and then again delays leading Hollywood from Santa Monica Boulevard over to the 110 freeway. Southbound 605, a little bit crowded coming out of Santa Fe Springs from Washington over to the 5, and things are a little bit bunched up through Fullerton. Southbound 57 from the Overland Boulevard to Orangethorpe. KFI and the Skyhooks get you there faster. I'm Jay Wood.
We might see some rainstorms tonight. We'll have more next.
Rain. It reminds me of when it rained in my garage when my washing machine broke. Oh, wait, that wasn't rain.
No, it wasn't rain. That would have been delightful. And a miracle. But wait, if this ever happens, you've got the pipe burst in the wall or the dishwasher, whatever. Call Abner Gatt as soon as possible.
The insurance companies are just looking out for the insurance companies. Abner Gatt is looking out for you.
Yeah, you want a public insurance adjuster on your side, and that's Abner Gatt. You could try to negotiate with your insurance company, but you ever done that, you know it's worse than the flood.
And he's just the best at it. He's not a nice guy. And that's what you want. Abner Gatt negotiates for you to make sure you're getting the best possible outcome, not the insurance company.
He and his team have been dealing with insurance companies for years. In fact, that's all they do. Abner Gatt and his team have the experience and the industry know-how you need on your side.
No one messes around with Abner Gatt and his team. Give him a call, 818-917-5256, 818-917-5256, or visit abnergatt.com.
Spell it like it sounds, Abner Gatt, A-B-N-E-R-G-A-T, abnergatt.com, or call him directly, 818-917-5256.
At Ralph's, fresh groceries are our thing, so we check your delivery order for freshness at every step from farm to store and pick and pack every veggie in your free pickup order with care, because we treat your food the way we want ours to be treated. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
Now it's even easier to save on your favorites with delivery and free pickup. Just visit Ralphs.com or the app today. Restrictions apply. Ralphs, fresh for everyone.
KFI Market Report brought to you by Bay Alarm. The Dow closed down Dow closed up 338, S&P 500 up 36, NASDAQ up 152, and the average price for a gallon of regular gas in California is $4.42.
With a range of commercial fire and security solutions, Bay Alarm can protect it all with just one call.
Southbound weather from KFI. Cloudy skies today and tonight. Highs in the mid-60s to mid-70s from the beaches all the way to Metro LA and OC. There's a chance of rain tonight in the evening and then in the late overnight hours. Mid-60s to mid-70s in the inland valleys. Also low to mid-70s in the Inland Empire. More showers expected tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Right now it's 72 degrees in Irvine, 70 in Hacienda Heights, 66 in Sherman Oaks, and 68 in Pasadena. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Berman.
Gary and Shannon, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Did you hear about the fugitive at Dodger Stadium? U.S. Marshals are asking for help identifying a man spotted at a Dodgers game in 2016.
There was somebody who used a Dodger Stadium, what is it? They were filming a TV show or something there, and they had to prove their whereabouts, and they couldn't have been at the scene of the crime because they were at Dodger Stadium that day, and the proof is they were filming like Curb Your Enthusiasm or something there.
Oh, really?
And you could see him in the background of the shot.
Oh, funny.
But this one is a wanted guy that's there.
Yeah, they say that this guy who was at a 2016 Dodgers game may be a fugitive. John Ruffo is his name, convicted in the late 90s of a $350 million bank fraud scheme. Sentenced to nearly 20 years in prison. He rented a car the day he was supposed to report to prison and drove to JFK. And then in September of 2016, a tip came in that he may have been sitting behind home plate at a Dodgers game a month earlier. And a man fitting his description can be seen, although investigators haven't been able to track him down. That's great. What a great story.
Looks like the Senate has agreed to extend the government's borrowing authority into December. They haven't yet voted on it. It was actually good news, or I should say well-received at least, by Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the day up about 340 points. 337, I believe, is the exact number. So that's good. And the deal will actually keep the government running through December 3rd. and we'll see it voted on a little bit later. President Biden right now speaking on the importance of vaccine requirements in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. So you'll hear some of those sound bites later in the day too.
Well, we told you the story yesterday from the Case Breakers, this group of reporters and military intelligence people and all the detectives out there, that they had found out, they had tracked down who the real Zodiac killer was. And it was a dead guy by the name of Gary Post. They said Gary Post was the Zodiac killer. Among the evidence, a furrowed brow on the sketch artist's drawing that matches Gary Post's forehead scarring. An allegation that one of the Zodiac's mysterious ciphers could be unlocked using Gary Post's full name. And claims that Gary Post perhaps killed a waitress in Riverside named Sherry Jo Bates. The story was picked up by Fox News and it took off. Well, a guy who's been trying to hunt down the Zodiac killer for 25 years told the Rolling Stone it's BS. It's completely bogus. Hot garbage, for his words.
Hot garbage.
A plate full of hot garbage.
Tom Voigt is the operator of ZodiacKiller.com and author of Zodiac Killer Just the Facts.
We did.
Voigt.
We did.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm familiar. In his words, it's bull-s.
We've kind of talked to everybody. Except for Kevin Costner.
He says that his father was an investigative reporter here in SoCal in the 60s, talked about the Black Dahlia Avenger, when that's the paper for the LA Herald Examiner, that's the paper the Black Dahlia Avenger wrote his letters to, and he grew up hearing about and seeing all the craziness in SoCal at the time, and Zodiac obviously would have been part of that. So in terms of what his opinion is, like I said, this is all BS. There's no way that Gary Post was the guy.
He says, first of all, I've never heard of any of these so-called experts. I've been doing this for 25 years, never heard of any of these case breaker people. And he said, the funny thing is they're matching up lines on foreheads. No witness ever described lines on Zodiac's forehead. Those lines were simply added by the sketch artist to fill in the sketch.
In terms of the story that if you use Gary Francis Post's full name, it unlocks one of the ciphers that the Zodiac used. He said a lot of what they're typing and talking about is nonsense. These people, they don't have any kind of command of the basics of the Zodiac case. And from what I've read, they've gotten their Zodiac information from the comment section of Facebook.
He said, why do you think Fox News picked up the story? He goes, there was probably some overnight intern that didn't read the press release carefully, didn't realize it was a publicity thing, threw it in the newsfeed.
Yeah. He goes on to say that the site has a list of suspects. The Tom Voigt site has a list of suspects. There's Arthur Lee Allen, there's Rick Marshall, but was Gary Post ever in on your radar in any way? And Tom Voigt says, I wouldn't even call him a suspect. I don't think he checks any of the boxes. In fact, he does have scars on his forehead. If, in fact, he does have scars on his forehead, that's a really effing good reason to rule him out.
The San Francisco office of the FBI says the Zodiac killer case remains open.
Yeah, they're not going to, this is not a solvable thing. I feel like, 60 years later, we're approaching 60 years later in some of these instances. And again, Tom Voigt has his own idea. He says Richard Gaikowski was his best suspect. If I was an employer looking to hire the Zodiac, he probably, hold on a second, he put this very weirdly. If I was an employer looking to hire the Zodiac, he'd probably have the most impressive resume in my eyes. That's an odd way to...
That is an